Alright, we're back. Alright, we're back. We've been sitting in the heavy aftermath of that last discussion on divine power, and now we're turning to the mechanics. Today we're looking at the architect side of magic. Is the practitioner a servant of the cosmos, or is he the one drawing the blueprints?
It feels a bit heavy, doesn't it? Like the weight is still in the room. But I'm ready to get into the actual work of it.
Let's just see if Koetting actually has a plan, or if he's just playing with matches.
Hey. Don't be so grim, Jane. I'm here, I've got my tea, and I'm ready to see some blueprints. Though if anyone starts talking about commanding galaxies, I might need a bigger mug.
We'll try to keep the cosmic collapses to a minimum, Paco. Let's look at the text. We're picking up where he talks about the search for the entity. He says the evoker isn't just looking for any spirit, but spends ages digging through grimoires to find that one specific entity that fits a particular goal.
It sounds so clinical, like he's searching a database. I need a spirit for X, let me check the archives.
Exactly, but then he pivots. He says, once you find them, once the name and the power are clear, you can't just say the name and walk away. You need dense contact. He describes this. This indigo light connecting the practitioner's spiritual body to the spirit's etheric body.
An indigo light? That sounds like a screensaver.
Hey, if I see a bright purple beam coming out of my chest, I'm definitely checking my pulse.
But look at what he says that light does. It's the conduit. It's how the spirit travels through dimensions to manifest. And this is the part where he gets really physical. He claims this connection allows the spirit to use the practitioner's own ectoplasm or prana to materialize.
Wait, so he's saying the spirit uses us as the raw material? Like we're the clay?
That's a huge distinction from the shamanic stuff we've talked about, Seth. In shamanic work, the practitioner is usually the one being moved or possessed by an external force. Here, Koetting is saying we provide the fuel for the entity to show up. It's a much more parasitic setup, isn't it?
It's certainly more architectural. He says this contact isn't just a vague energy flow, but is built through direct symbolism. He actually mentions hoodoo here, using rattles, snakes, mandalas, even specific foods and photos to create that link.
Now that I can get behind, I love a good ritual snack.
But then he moves into the West's primary tool, the sigil. He explains the mathematical matrices, taking a name, using a grid of letters and numbers, and drawing lines to create a unique identifier.
Which sounds very much like the reprogramming the brain claim he made earlier. It's all about creating a precise, coded trigger.
But then he throws a curveball. He says the real power isn't in the math. He says the rarest and most powerful sigils are the ones given directly by the spirit through channeling or intuition.
Right, and he gets almost spooky here. He says if you place parchment in the magic triangle where the spirit appears, they might actually leave a signature, a physical imprint of their presence.
Please. That sounds like a way to get a very elaborate ink stain on your expensive paper.
I don't know, Jane. I've seen some weird things happen when the energy is right.
He actually pushes back against the Disney version of this, saying there's a kernel of truth to spirits leaving a mark. But then, and this is a big but, he immediately undercuts it. He says any sigil you get through automatic writing or a Ouija board is likely just a product of your own subconscious and your own desires.
So the magic is just your own brain playing tricks on you.
He's setting a trap there. He's separating the self-generated from the spirit-given. But look at how he transitions into the spell section. This is the part that ties back to our theme of command. He writes, "To create universes, God speaks. To even destroy them, he whispers." The commands loudly pronounced by an evoker are the same as those from the eternal source.
Okay, that is massive. That is a huge, terrifying claim. He's equating the human voice to the divine voice.
That's more than magic. That's a heavy responsibility. If you're commanding galaxies, you better not have a stutter.
He's not joking. He says you can't just think strongly about making planets align. You have to use absolute authority. Your voice has to make the very molecules of existence vibrate with the knowledge that they must obey.
It's so aggressive. It's the total opposite of the surrender we see in many tantric or devotional practices. There's no room for a relationship here, only a hierarchy. It's all command and obey.
And he backs it up with the spell versus the incantation. The spell is the rhythmic singing part that pulls reality towards your will. But the command? That's just a declaration you aren't asking. You are stating a new fact for the universe.
And yet he admits even the most advanced systems still use the names of old gods and even threats of demons to force compliance. It's a messy, violent kind of authority.
But he ends this section with a warning for the dilettanti. He says if you just call a demon out of curiosity, nothing happens. You won't see the black eyes, you won't feel the breath.
Because you haven't prepared your perception.
Exactly. He says the true evoker, the one who has done the diligent study and the analysis, is the only one who can actually witness the horror. He tells a story about calling a watcher from the Necronomicon and saying that once the veil parted, the air itself moved. He knew it was there, but he wasn't ready to see it.
It sounds like the cost of this mastery is your own peace of mind. You've built the door, you've forged the key, but now you have to live with whatever walks through it.
Man, I think I'll stick to my tarot cards for tonight. At least the fool doesn't try to command the molecules in my sandwich.
Okay, let's slow down. We need to look at how he actually bridges the gap between the blueprint and the meeting. He says the second essential component for a new successful conversation with an entity is preparing your senses to perceive the unimaginable.
That sounds like a lot of pressure. Like you're trying to tune a radio to a frequency that might actually break the hardware.
He actually makes a massive claim here. He says, and I'm paraphrasing, that all people see otherworldly entities constantly. He says we see them, but the brain just can't process it. We get a flash, an intuition, maybe an angelic face, but the brain just shuts it down because it's too much to bear.
So he's basically saying you're all seeing ghosts, you're just too stupid to realize it? That's a hell of a way to start a tutorial.
Well, he says the training, which he says is covered in Chapter 4, is about teaching the brain to interpret these things so you can chat with an entity as easily as friends over a cup of coffee.
Okay, so I'm summoning a demon. I'm inviting a stranger over for a latte. That's a very cozy way to describe a potentially life-altering encounter.
Hey, if the demon brings the pastries, I'm totally in.
But it's not all solo work. He brings up an old-school technique, the medium. The idea is to use a person who can actually see and hear the entities as an assistant to the magician. The magician does the heavy lifting, the invocation, the divine love, creating the electromagnetic background in the temple, and then the medium acts as the herald.
So the magician is the architect, and the medium is the intercom system?
Exactly. And he says this is making a comeback. He claims that younger people, the ones starting out on this path, are less afraid of their own abilities. They're more open to seeing things.
I like that. It's like a shift in the collective psyche, moving from fear of the unknown to curiosity about the unseen.
Or just moving from fear to unfiltered chaos.
Let's look at the assignment part. This is where the architect really starts giving orders. He says once you've done the work, reached omnipotence, and established contact, you give the command. And this is important, it has to be done with absolute authority.
It's more than a request.
No. He says the voice should be deep, coming from the womb or the gut like an opera baritone. And wait, he warns, against screaming or crying or shrinking in fear. You have to stay composed. If you show even a hint of doubt, the whole operation doesn't just fail, it can turn against you.
That's the classic be careful what you wish for trap.
And the wording, he goes on and on about the wording. He says if you're sloppy, the demon will fulfill your wish in a distorted and harmful way.
Oh man, the monkey's paw effect. I've lived through that with a bad joke at a comedy club. You ask for silence and the whole audience leaves.
He actually gives a specific example. He mentions calling upon Count Salos. If you just ask for love, you might just get a postcard from your aunt.
See, even the demons are literalists.
But if you're specific, bring me a physically beautiful, mentally developed, emotionally stable woman for my sexual satisfaction, then you're getting what you actually want. He even suggests that despite the warnings about karmic debt, you can focus the demon on a specific person you're already interested in.
And there it is, the unethical side of the blueprint. He's basically saying, don't worry about the cosmic consequences, just get the girl.
He actually addresses this. He says the magicians of the right hand warn against this because it creates karmic knots by dominating another's will. But he claims that both the black magician and the great adept understand that necessity dictates the will to act.
It's such a cold, transactional way to look at the universe. No room for the divine love he mentioned earlier.
But there's one more thing. The command has to be from the heart. You have to release your personal attachment to the desire. You command, and then you let it go, trusting the entity to execute it. He says that once the command is given, the desire flies out of your body like an exhausted spirit that can no longer possess you.
Okay, stop. That is a massive red flag. He's literally advocating for a dissociation from the self. He's saying, ignore the person who has to live with the consequences. Focus on the god that does the magic.
Sounds like a great way to handle a craving for late-night pizza.
But then, the way he ends the ritual. This is where it gets messy. He describes his own early practice. He lived in a tiny apartment. He'd cover the windows in black, taped the door shut to keep the energy in. And he says, and this is the kicker, he refused to use banishing rituals.
Wait, what? Why not?
He says he thought it was an insult to call a demon for help and then just unceremoniously kick it out like an uninvited guest. He'd just tell them to go and do the task and then leave.
So he just left the demon energy just hanging out in his bedroom.
Exactly. He says his room became saturated with the energy of these entities. And he tells this story about a friend coming over, looking around, and being terrified because the room felt like pure darkness, even though the windows were wide open and the lights were on.
That is a heavy way to live. The architecture is there, the command is there, but the house is just full of ghosts he forgot to ask to leave.
Honestly, I need a minute to scrub my brain of that imagery.
Agreed. Let's step away for a second and grab some water.